This is Comic Picks by the Glick.
Hey, and I'm your host, Jason Glick.
Good afternoon, good morning, and good evening, Jason Glick. In internet time, there really isn't any morning, afternoon, or evening, but
Nope, it's when you want it right away.
that's it. How are things going, sir?
Oh, things are going great. And just to emphasize that whole, time is fluid for the internet. But I want to start things off by talking about something that John and I went and did almost right after we recorded the last podcast when we were at Fanime. Because it's after we did that, we grabbed dinner and we went out to see X-Men: Days of Future Past.
X-Men. Yes.
Yeah. So, John, what'd you think?
I really enjoyed the film. It was well put together. Yes, I enjoyed the film a lot. The past and the future.
Yeah, because as John said, it was really, really well made, really well acted, great special effects, and lots of humor as well.
Mhm.
Correct?
Yeah, oh yes, absolutely. Lots of humor and deadly sentinels. Ooh. Man, and there was one thing. I was speaking with Myron, who has been on the podcast before with us, and he had mentioned, it's like the Sentinels though were almost like too difficult. They were so impossible to kill. And I'm like, well, and he didn't, and his personal opinion was is he didn't like the fact that they used the Raven DNA to alter the Sentinels themselves. He thought, but I said, and then I said, well, it did give the movie a sense of, well, look, they're going to be backed into a corner, and and the old adage, of course, good can only be good if evil's really, really bad.
Indeed. Yeah, I get what he's saying about the whole the Sentinels being really hard to kill in this film, but at the same time, it's these are apparently these are not the classic Sentinels that we were used to seeing in the comics. These are apparently just murder Sentinels who are just out to kill humanity. They've had decades of refinement to their killing process.
Exactly.
And yeah, and I also had another friend who commented on the fact the same thing about using Raven or Mystique's DNA to enhance them. It's that makes no sense. You shouldn't be able to use her DNA in that. It's for that kind of for what they're trying to teach the Sentinels to do. And I'm yeah, you could do that. That's true, but at the same time, hey, I'm willing to look past it in terms of just the movie trying to get. It was just it was a relatively minor point from the movie.
Yeah.
Same with Kitty Pryde's being able to project people into the past with her ability, because I know what her power is, being able to phase through objects. I'm just kind of wondering just how exactly was she able to sync with Bishop in order to send people's minds back in time. So that, you could quibble about that, but at the same time, it's the rest of the movie was good enough that you can look past these. It's these little plot holes.
Exactly. Hey, they're not like Star Trek sized plot holes or anything, but hey, I understand and I get them, but all in all, the formula works. It works together very well. What I told them this. I mean, I have always found, I don't know what I am. I guess I like the villain side of things. Magneto is a very complicated person, and you see that here. But for once, you also see Xavier's background, and you see his struggles with certain things, and I like that emphasis. I really did.
Yeah, even though the whole he's going to use his the anti-mutagenic serum to keep his ability to walk at the expense of his powers. So it was a little bit on the nose, but at the same time, James McAvoy is a strong enough actor in order to pull it off and make you care about that. And Michael Fassbender just really gets Magneto's ends justify the means school of thought right there.
Indeed.
Yeah, and even though the story itself does it's the first X-Men movie to adapt a specific story from the comics, and it does so decently enough in a very broad fashion. But because the biggest change that they sent Wolverine back in time in terms of Kitty Pryde. Now I can understand why they made that change, because Kitty Pryde was just she just had this little minor role in X-Men: The Last Stand,
Hmm.
and you realize you need like one of the A-list characters in order to make it work like in the film. I mean, to be honest, I think that the original like storyline was just meant to be like a little simple two-part storyline that and when Chris Claremont and John Byrne were cooking it up, I don't think they had any idea how fandom was going to react to this particular story. If they had, then it wouldn't have been two issues. It would have been like big multi-epic like the Phoenix Saga.
Hmm.
So, but also the screenwriter Simon Kinberg came up with at least has a decent rationalization for why Wolverine was put into this role. It's like so that he could mentor Xavier. It's like in the same way that Xavier mentored him in the course of the films.
Hmm.
So I can really get behind that school of thinking. And if that's the reasoning you want to offer me as to why Wolverine was the main character in this film, aside from the fact that Hugh Jackman is completely badass as the guy, and I would never pass up any excuse not to see him in this role, then yeah, this is a good enough excuse as any.
The justification worked in the storyline itself. I was like, okay, they kind of, they explained, well, no, he would be the best one to survive the process of going back. And I was
That's
like, okay, that's very decent explanation. I'm willing to go with that. By the way, this is the second adaptation, I believe, in the 1990s X-Men cartoon that aired on the Fox Kids block or whatever you want to call it. They also did it, but I don't believe that Kitty was the one that went back that time either.
I have to go back and check, but I guess if you wanted to get into that territory, it's like I would
Yeah.
actually be willing to cede any analysis of that to Chris Sims of Comics Alliance, who's
Hmm.
been performing an exhaustive review of the series every Monday at Comics Alliance, where he goes back and reviews a particular episode of the series.
Hmm.
And well, let's just say that in retrospect, the series is probably not quite as good as we remember it.
Yeah, a little bit more romanticism in the past. But in passing, it certainly was. It was one they visited. I do believe I went back and
Oh
watched
yeah,
some.
they went. I remember watching it as a kid,
Hmm.
and I remember like they went and did every. They pretty much did just about every X-Men storyline they could.
Hmm. Just as a side note, side note to the side note for the podcast, but um, and I'm not asking for anything, really detailed here, but did you think like the animation quality was really awesome back when you saw it when it was on television, and then you went back and you watched it and you're like, wow, I really this was really...
I haven't. Let's see. Well, here's the thing. I haven't gone back and watched it.
Ah, yes.
So that's what we're dealing with right here. Because I've seen, like I said, I've just been reading what Sims has been writing over the
Hmm.
last like I think he's been doing this for over almost a year now, and it's interesting to read, even if he's just like straight summing up some of the parts here. I mean, they're like it just sounds like what there are plenty of what were they thinking when they adapted these stories,
Hmm.
and also, but even if there's some sub points where I can just go like, yo, okay, Chris, I get the feeling you're trying to be funny, haha, that's cool,
Hmm.
but there's a lot of stuff that he describes just pulled straight from the oh just straight from the comics itself, that it's just kind of like, wow, it's like what were you guys thinking here? So
Yeah. Well, they only had so much time. Maybe, there was a lot of like boardroom cutting and stuff that left on the floor, with respect to the story and what they could and couldn't put on television. I don't know. Well, those are just stabs in the dark, but, usually that's what winds up happening with things like this. So, and anyway, back to the movie. Again, really loved it. Everyone go out and see it like 4 or 5 times, whatever.
yeah, and be sure to stay to the end because it's got the teaser for Apocalypse in the next film.
Absolutely.
Yeah, but but in order to to segue into the actual meat of this comics podcast, there's a moment at the end of the film where you see the Xavier School open up, and where you see Wolverine walking through the Xavier School. I'm thinking like, wow, this is awesome. It's just like Wolverine in the X-Men, because like like, cause it was just cool to see just like like the school open up again, like these like young mutants learning about how to survive, and just like in the senior X-Men just teaching them what they need to know. And I just thought that was just like a really cool moment, and just like really key to one of the series that I've really enjoyed from Marvel over the past couple of years, which is Wolverine and the X-Men. So getting into the meat of this thing, Wolverine and the X-Men sprung out from the X-Men event Schism, where Wolverine and Cyclops finally had a decisive falling out over what to do, how to lead the kids in it's like in this post-decimation world where there are no more mutants being born. Well, Cyclops believe that these kids are hey, they are, everyone here is an X-Man. They're going to need to fight, and it's like we're going to need to learn to survive in this world that hates them and fears them more than ever. Wolverine basically said, "Hey, you know what? Like fuck that. We are doing all this stuff so that the kids don't need to fight and learn to learn to kill." It's like Wolverine's been a member of like X-Force, doing all like the Black Ops mutant stuff, just so that people don't have to line up like he is, and so he basically was against using kids as foot soldiers. It's like in the mutant conflict. So basically, he took everyone who was willing to go with him over to the back over to the East Coast, and reopened the Westchester School, now rechristened as a Jean Grey School, and started and wanted to teach them, hey, this is how you're gonna be able to, like if you want to know how to learn how to use your mutant powers in a way that's that's not going to get you killed. It's like or be used as kind of like an avert paramilitary organization. Well, here you go, and let's see, and Jason Aaron, the writer, it's like his goal with this series was basically to create something that was fun. Just it's interesting that when you read the last volume, and he basically specifically said that fun is not a dirty word in superhero comics. It's like, and that he wanted to get the sense of fun back for the X-Men, and get back to the whole school setting that they used to have, back throughout the 70s, 80s, and even part of the 90s as well. So his version of the Jean Grey School was just this crazy, insane science fiction um, place where the Danger Room was adapted into the entire place. You'd have these Nightcrawler-esque imps named Bamps, just like creating chaos all over the place. And you also have like teachers like Rachel Gray teaching defense against psychic warfare. Um, it's like Husk teaching literature, and it's like Kitty Pryde being like co-head mistress with Wolverine. It's like it was it's like it's basically an insane superhero school where where everyone's schooled in how to survive in a superhero universe. I've reviewed pretty much every volume of the series on the site. So if you just you want to look check about what I've said before, then you can just like check on the site. But to sum things up, I've really enjoyed what Aaron has done here, and rereading it, it's like it still proves to be a lot of fun. Like the initial storyline, where the new Hellfire Club, formed by a bunch of evil kids, which who were basically set on using the whole mutant threat in order to generate sales for their new Sentinel products, send a new version of Krakoa to attack the X-Men, and then they turn him into the school grounds by befriending him. It's like that's fun. It's like then you also got like storylines where like Wolverine takes Quentin Quire, who was created by Grant Morrison as a symbol of teenage rebellion, and who basically fulfills the that role of the skeptical anti-authoritarian character. It's like throughout the Aaron's run, takes him on a gambling trip in order to raise funds for the school to a gambling world. That was cool. you've also got like when Kitty Pryde gets infected by a bunch of brood, thinks she's pregnant, but turns out, hey, it's just a plan to get at the sentient brood who's in the school. And then other things like when Sabretooth attacks Sword to get at Beast's girlfriend Abigail Brand. When the Avengers vs. X-Men crossover hits, and even when the school is dragged into crossover madness, Aaron doesn't lose focus and keeps things centered on the school itself. It's like and the characters within. It's like and if I was even if I was tempted to pick a story that was probably the weakest for this for Wolverine this, and it'd be the time where they encountered Frankenstein's murder circus, which is, I mean, the tone of the series is insane, crazy action above all else. But even when you've got a murder circus run by Frankenstein's monster, and you've got all the X-Men teachers who have been press ganged into service, or not press ganged, mentally controlled into service as the it's like as a crazy as a crazy circus acts, like when Wolverine becomes Revolto the Clown. It's like you're stretching things just a little bit too far right there. So it's like I can see what he's going for there, but even then, still kind of a bit too crazy. But even then, like the storylines where you get Wolverine's brother dog Logan showing up to like kidnap the school. Even then, that still had its moments, and but then you get the stuff like the Hellfire Club or the Hellfire School, where all the kids are kidnapped and forced to be turned into supervillains. Well, it's like even that turned out to be like a good fun story as well, because it basically finally brought the whole Hellfire Club versus the Jean Grey School arc to a climax, and it served as basically a great climactic arc for Aaron's run on Telex. Make no mistake, this final volume that I'm about to talk about, it's falling action. It's the real climax is volume 7, and it's handled really well. And and it's a lot of fun. But also the series never lacked for like top tier talent. It started off with Chris Bacalo, who's one of those artists who can draw just about anything, even if it's just like a crazy science fiction school, like where where just about anything can happen at a moment's notice. It's like so he got the ball rolling, but the series has really been sustained by one man, that is Nick Bradshaw. Bradshaw is a phenomenal talent, and I had never heard of him before his work on Wolverine and the X-Men. And this guy has a great cartoonish style that doesn't lack for detail or expressionism. In terms of capturing like the tone of this series is meant to be fun. Bradshaw nailed it better than any other artist in the series. I mean, yes, the series had other artists like Jorge Molina, Ramon Perez, Pasquale Ferry. Like I said, it never lacked for artistic talent, but Bradshaw nailed it better than anyone else. And I really became a believer in this guy. Like he's I'd say he's one of my favorite artists right now. And he's now working with Brian Michael Bendis on Guardians of the Galaxy, and Bendis is quite lucky, frankly, to have this guy, because I just got the first volume, and that even though that has art from Steve McNiven and Sarah Pichelli, Bradshaw, his art, like his style in terms of he captures the craziness of the school with even a better clarity than Bacalo did. I mean, he's got like really solid detailed line work that really nails the the insane approach of this school. And as I say, I really like his work, and I can imagine that when he's doing like crazy Marvel cosmic stuff with Bendis, that's going to be a perfect fit for him as well. So I'm looking forward to seeing that. But as far as the final volume goes, I think it's a good fun bit of falling action that basically sums up what what was entertaining about the school. It starts off with the annual, which serves as the tie into the Infinity crossover, and focuses on Kid Gladiator, the son of the Shi'ar Emperor Gladiator, who was big on punching and and fighting just about anything that crossed his path. Here, after the Avengers X-Men crossover, he was forced to come back to to Shi'ar space with his dad, and he just fucking hates it here. It's just like school. It's like got no friends at the school, and it's like even though he really liked it at the Jean Grey School, he never admitted it to anyone else. But still, it's a school that indulges his love of fighting things, and it's more than he gets here. And so when the force of the builders comes calling in Shi'ar space, he takes it he seizes this opportunity and goes on to just, punch the crap out of everything. So it becomes like a thoroughly entertaining tale where he proves his worth, and shows his dad that not only is he a worthy heir to the Gladiator name, it's like he also finally earns the respect of his classmates, all thanks to the good times he had at the Jean Grey School. So this opening arc, it's also like Bradshaw's last major contribution to the series, and it works really well. In fact, the whole cosmic action stuff really bodes well for his work, for his tenure on Guardians of the Galaxy. Then follows up with the Wolverine School for Gifted Youngsters, which itself picks up from the Battle of the Atom crossover that I haven't read yet because I'm not paying $50 for a crossover that's 270 pages long. In fact, according to the solicitations, I think that's the paperback version is supposed to be either $40 or $35, which validates my reason for not buying it. Anyway, even with the the whole crossover happening, it's still it's a good wrap up and statement of purpose for the series. And since you've got two new recruits for the Jean Grey School. Try Joey, who's got three faces, three arms on both sides, and his sister Squid Girl, who are now new recruits at the Jean Grey School, and how they adapt to things there. But they've got their own secret agenda, because it turns out they've been sent here from Shield in order to find out just how dangerous this school is. And all the kids there, well, they show them exactly how dangerous it is, just from the danger room to homework and all that crazy stuff. But so it's basically a real restatement, just like how the school stands for insanity and fun. It's above all else, and I liked it for that. Another thing that I really enjoyed about this particular arc, was that after the confrontation with Shield at the beginning of the story, Wolverine goes off on his goes off to try and figure out just what Shield has planned, where they're keeping their stash of Sentinels. Turns out that at the same time, though, Cyclops has the same idea too, and so they both run into each other. And it's like in the wake of Schism, Avengers vs. X-Men, and Uncanny X-Men and All New X-Men, they really haven't been able to patch up their differences at all. What's more is that in this current continuity, Wolverine lost his healing factor. Cyclops not able to control his optic blasts as well as he used to be. So you've got these two guys trying to take on these Sentinels, and not being able to pull off as well, and trying to and eventually leads them to being brutally beaten. It's they kill the Sentinels, but they're beaten up in the process, and then eventually they, in the midst of finding medical supplies, they find booze instead. And so then you get this great 5-page sequence where they hash out the differences, and it's a great Wolverine and Cyclops moment that really that goes to exploring their differences. And Wolverine's Cyclops is why do you hate me so much? And Wolverine's response essentially being, hey, you don't hate yourself nearly enough, especially after all you've done. And it's also interesting to note that Aaron essentially seems to believe in like the whole in the classic X-Men stuff. In terms of Wolverine being the guy who Jean Grey was too scared of, or scared enough to like, and Cyclops being the guy that she fell in love with. Hey, why can't we go back to that status quo? And it's like in the end, so it's fun. It's fun seeing that, and hey, maybe we will get to see that eventually. And they strike a note, a well-earned note of conciliation between the two at the end. We also get final fate of Toad, who was basically a really a mean joke as a school's janitor over the course of the series. And if there was one thing that didn't quite work, it was him because he's Toad and he's basically the butt of all jokes, but still, it's like I don't know, he deserves better than just to be made fun of throughout the course of the series. Also, Husk and her craziness. Aaron reveals what he was kind of going for here in this volume. In terms of her, she developed a secondary mutation involving her. It's like the abilities and skills she adapts whenever she rips off part of her skin. That's kind of putting a Band-Aid on what is really like not cool at all. And this final arc just basically this final story with Toad basically puts him back into being like the villain into a villain's role for reasons what we can that we're just like getting back to the status quo because nothing else works. And it kind of feels that hey, Toad, reading this thing, you're feeling that Toad deserved better over the course of this run, and that's kind of disappointing. Still, though, the final issue serves as a nice epilogue showing us on future Wolverine, and future Wolverine as he prepares to close down the Jean Grey School, and then present day Wolverine as he prepares to issue the graduatory certificates for the for the school's first year. It's a nice way to wrap up Aaron's tenure on the series. Let's see, and I feel that everyone basically got what they deserved as well, including Quentin Quire, who basically wound up with maturity, whether he wanted it or not. So overall, if you like your superhero comics crazy and insane, then you're absolutely going to want to pick the series up at some point. If you like X-Men series with a nice beginning, middle, and end, this one also works very well too. I mean, it's like Aaron, even though it's like he shows that he can write really serious, dramatic stuff with Scalped. Wolverine and the X-Men shows that he's really good with superhero craziness as well, and that he's and then, frankly, I like his superhero stuff when he's just being crazy, as opposed to imposing any kind of drama on it. So even though it's like the series its excesses may have may not have paid off in every respect, it's still lots of fun, and I think it does show that hey, fun should not be a dirty word when it comes to superhero comics. Thoroughly entertaining, highly recommended. And even though the series is continuing under the auspices of Jason Latour as writer and Mahmoud Asrar as artist, they have a very high bar to meet. So that's what I think. John, any final thoughts on this here?
Well, I haven't obviously read the series. However, I like fun, so I think I might just go on and check this out.
Yeah, Aaron's run is being collected in an omnibus edition.
Excellent.
Yeah, so you're getting like 40 odd issues and an annual, like in it for like $100 or so. So there you go, something to consider.
All right. Do you know what we're going to be talking about next time?
Oh, next time we're still dipping from the Marvel well, because I'm expecting my copy of the Ultimate Cataclysm this Tuesday. So in fact, and then after that, I don't know. It's like I may get around to doing the Swamp Thing Animal Man post crossover podcast that I talked about a while back, like on the blog. But we'll see how that goes, and I may just decide to duck out on that and just write it up on the site. But we'll see. But next time, Ultimate Cataclysm, be there.
All right, be there, be square, or whatever.
Yes.
That sounds like an old WWE commercial. Anyway, all right. Well then, thanks for joining us on Comic Picks by the Glick, and we'll catch you later.
All right.
All
Bye.
right, bye.